Malawi Brief.
That's the individualism. You don't know what other problem. Some can come out and can be seen, you can sort them out. But the others that are silent. Now, I've said the all-encompassing definition of CRM currently used in aviation industry excuse me, recently described CRM as the effective use of all available resources by the cockpit crew. The effective use of all available resources within the cockpit or within the flight. Ndege mucha zonse zimene angagwiritse ntchito awuzigwiritse ntchito, including passengers. This includes human resource, hardware, and information. That's why we see mapilot asanayambika kupanga ntchito yawo of flying. You see them running all over office. They're gathering information. They're interacting with people there. They're getting briefings, you know, so that they can come up and safely say, yes, we can do this or not. But as they interact, there are other special flights, more so or particularly VVIP and VIP flights, because they is special demand. They exert special pressure. I will explain later when you ask me questions. It's already in some of the area presentations that I've made. So, including human resource, hardware, and information. And I have quoted the CRM definition as presented by the FAA in 1997, page 2, which I quote, was saying CRM is the effective use of all available resources by the cockpit crew, including human resource, hardware, and information. In other words, what they were saying is, then you haven't used Chani, interacted long enough, because CRM definition says effective use of all available resources by the crew, the cockpit crew, including human resource, hardware, which is the actual aircraft and its instrument components, and the information. This information would include weather. It would include the trend. You could watch. Is it getting better? Is it not? The other information would be, hey, what are they talking about, for example, Mzuzu operations? So you go looking for that information, getting it, interpreting and understanding that information. Interpreting the weather and the trend. Not just the weather, But the trend, ikuti bwanji. You would also go into the information yakuti operation hours, yeah, in this case Mzuzu, ikuti bwanji. When can I start? Will I find Mzuzu Airport open with all available services when I take off at this time or not? Let me continue. Others have wanted to expose operational errors by examining not only what caused the accident, but also why. The unsafe act which caused the accident was permitted, and whether my supervisors, management, and all those involved had the safety knowledge themselves. Did they understand? Tikamati ndifuna ndipite ndikauluke ndi kwakuti. Yeah, no problem. Do you understand you bought an aircraft? What is in that aircraft? Yeah. Now you're asking this crew or this aircraft to do zakuti. Is it in a position to do that? Can it do it? Or not? These you will fully understand when you refer to the unserviceable aircraft of presented later, or mission-ready aircraft. I will explain when you ask, but let me finish. The safety knowledge to prevent the accident. Was management knowledgeable of the laws, codes, and standards associated with safe operation? If so, why was there confusion on the part of the employee, this pilot, regarding the goals of the organization, the roles, the responsibilities of those participating in the work setting? Accountability and Zambia. So, here I've said zina zache zimene management structure amene akuitanitsa ndege imeneyi amene kudziwa goals, standards, appraisals, yeah, measurements, organizations, chain of command, span of control, delegation of authority, operations, equipment, scheduling, procedure, and the environment. Manager behavior, policy akwiziwa, goals, authority, akunena kuti pita iwe ndi ndani. Kani ndi authority amene. Responsibility, is he also responsible? Wakutuma pita kumzuzu, but is he also the right person to authorize kuti pite? Because you're talking of Ndege si njinga. Ndege involves expenditure in kwachas and foreign exchange, or dollars, or pounds, whatever. That's why you need authority to spend the dollars. And the span of attention or delegation. That's the supervisor, the conduct, responsibility, authority, rules, coaching, initiative, morale, and operation. All these have to be taken into consideration. And then when there is a mistake that has taken place, which I've said, tactical errors, employee behavior, poor teamwork, using unsafe equipment, failure to use protective gear, for example, failure to warn others, using equipment in an unsafe manner or hospital. Work conditions, unsafe conditions, improper design, poor housekeeping of the instructions. Pitani kumzuzu, mukazone kongo. Maybe not the best way, you know. Improper limitations and improper verifications. In other words, is he the right one to this mission or not? In the Tosit Makama driver. But the qualification and the responsibility and the authority Oceana. Because if we ignore this, then you can be rest assured there'll be an accident, there'll be injury, there'll be death, you know, there'll be property damage, there'll be all that. It may not be a direct result, but what you forgot to take care of. So there'll be injury to people and to property. I, Brigadier Juvenalis Mtende, PhD, would not have flown on the flight from Kia to Mzuzu under the weather conditions. Mind you, I'm saying under the weather condition prevailing in Mzuzu on 10th June 2024. But I must also point here that on this flight that I'm saying I would not, I don't have the information which the crew which were involved in this accident used to interpret the weather. I don't have it. I would be happy to have it. It may come from Department of Civil Aviation, MET department, as a report or an indication presented for this incident of 10th June. Given that the Department of Civil Aviation, here mark what I'm saying, Department of Civil Aviation has designated Mzuzu Airport as VFR. In the AIP Malawi, AD, which stands for airdrome, when you get the AIP book from Department of Civil Aviation, which is the Bible of aviation in Malawi, and you go to this section, I have presented a copy of what I'm talking about. But let me finish this before we explain this. In the AIP AD 1.3-2 of 1st January 04, I, in my personal capacity, had access to this information, which is the one that I'm referring here, 1 January 04. But we're talking of 2026 today. So one would have to go to DCA rather, and get the latest. But I can bet you it hasn't changed. Why it wouldn't change is very simple. There is no improvements done all along until now on Mzuzu aerodrome. As far as I know, it was probably more closed than anything else. This means VFR flights are permitted to use the aerodrome. Only VFR, only when you are able to see other documents, other detailed features, physically. See, nyumba yo, tower yo, you know, to be able to conduct. And you would be conducting these VFR flights within the time span ya operation yao ya nani ya ntchito ya kumzuzu kuja ngatawe luka folokoloko, you don't have the full service. And this full service, I'm referring to services, yeah, air traffic control, firefighting service, security, runway paja, oyanganira, meti,